in the HISD that look like a university. Look like you just stepped onto a college campus somewhere. They're programming and preparing their kids for that higher education environment, and they put monies into these schools so these kids can have opportunities, scientific opportunities. They put them into these environments so these kids would understand economics and political advantages and all of that. And so when we move from the inner city to the suburban, we do that so that our kids will have a better shot. But the problem with that is when we move suburban, the people in the suburban are afraid of us. They are petrified of black folks coming to their suburban community because they, we got this bad rap. The news media and political personalities have tagged us as being evil and animalistic and all kind of things that they're talking about, which none of those things are true. We're not animalistic no more than they are. I'm not going to get, I don't want this to seem like a racial thing, but I need you to understand something. If you don't talk to your kids about real life issues, you're setting your kids up for failure. That's all I'm trying to get over to you. So start talking to your kids about real life and how they need to conduct themselves in public. Learn how to respect you at home so that when you get around to other grown people, other adults, they'll learn how to interact with them. I mean, it's nothing new. When I was probably about the seventh grade, one of my teachers corrected me and said I didn't have to call them ma'am. Mama said, yes, ma'am. You don't have to call me ma'am. Now, they want us to call them by their first name. That was when I got to seventh grade. And so if there was then, now it's probably worse. Everybody want to be young and nobody wants to get old. Nobody wants to be their seniors. And so if the teacher don't want to be a senior and they want to be friends with their students, and then when the students disrespect them, then you feel some kind of way. But the truth of the matter is, it's not the kids' fault. They're not taught at home how to be respectful to adults. They get to school and you play with them and treat them like they your equal, and then you want to try to correct them. That don't work. Parents need to be parents, and teachers need to be their teachers, and keep the line drawn and don't let the kids cross the line. And you won't have the problem we're having. You can't be their friends. You have to be their educator, and you have to be their parent. Y'all, yeah, I hope I'm making sense to somebody. And so then when we don't treat them and teach them like we ought to teach them, the system will step in. The system will take your kids and make them a criminal. If a black kid get into a fight at school, black or brown kid get into a fight at school, the school is gonna call the law enforcement, and the law enforcement is gonna handle your child like an adult. Yeah, and then they're gonna give them a felony. They're gonna be felons while they're in school. They can be elementary. They can be junior high. They will make them felons early. And then when they get out into the real world, they already got a record. They try to get a job. And now you can't get a job because you're a felon. And you're a felon by default, by being a kid that didn't know any better. The truth, if you break the law, you're going to pay the price, the penalty of breaking the law. And so we need to, I don't know if I'm making sense to y'all or not, but, and I know this might be kind of harsh for some of y'all, because You want this easy, don't disturb, don't rock the boat type of environment. But you see where it's getting us? Kids are being killed. Yeah, and just here recently, I saw in that they are now charging parents for your kids' delinquency. If your kids are out breaking curfew for these places that have curfew, Houston used to have a curfew. I don't know if they still have one or not. But they used to have a curfew for your kids. And if your kids was out at a certain time of night, they gonna pick your kids up and call you and say, "We got your kid down here in juvenile, and you need to come get them." And now they're charging the parents for your child delinquency. If your kid's out there, then they're gonna look you up, and you're gonna get a fine, and you might have jail time for a delinquent child. And then you're gonna say, "It ain't my fault. I try to tell them stay home. They don't stay home." Well, maybe you haven't made them that make the case so severe to make them stay home. Let me show you what that look like. Your kid might be too old for you to beat, but your kids are not too old for you to punish. If they're using your internet at home, change the passcode and make it what is it called? A visitor's passcode. Give them a passcode as a visitor on your internet. They log in as a visitor, and then at a certain time, you can cancel and you can end that visitation right to use your internet. If they're cutting up, cut off the internet. Cut it up. If you're paying for the phone, take the phone. You say, "I can't take the phone." They're going to get in the fight. Well, they go to sleep eventually. They stay up all night long. Then eventually around about 3 or 4 o'clock, they go to sleep. Then going in that night when they're knocked out and get the phone, put it in your room. Lock it up. And tell them, "If you ain't going to act right in my house, I'm like, you lose all rights and privileges here. I'm going to feed you food and give you water. Don't ask me for nothing extra. If that's how you're going to act, I'm going to treat you like you treat me. No respect, you'll get none." Yeah. Bottom line. And if I have to go to jail behind you, then so be it. And so if they decided, "I'm leaving the house," call the police and say, "My kid just ran away." That's not your problem. Don't make it your problem. If your kid run away, put them people in his life. Yeah. You can't tell you what to do. Well, I can't tell you. Them folks will tell you what to do. They'll tell you what to do. You ain't gonna listen to me? Them folks will tell you what to do. Then you pray for your child. Take it to God and talk to God about their mentality. But I mean, most of these kids have grown up like this, and you're trying to correct it at this late place in the game when you should have started when they was little. When they was 2 and 3 years of age, you should have already corrected them. They know that if I say something to you, I mean what I say. I'm gonna give you a case in point. My grandson, my grandson, he used to come to church, ride with us to church, and he would bring his little cars with him, little Hot Wheel cars, and he liked playing with those little cars. He'd bring at home, he'd roll them across the floor and have a wonderful time. Then we get ready to go to church. He would bring his cars to church. And I would say to him, I said, "Son, you're not leave that car at home. We're not going to church to play. We're going to church to learn God's word." And he cried and be upset, but the car stayed home until his grandmother gave him a leeway and told him, say, "You can take the car with you, but and you put it in your pocket, All right, but don't play with it in church. That was a compromise. No, that was an undermine of my authority. She would never see it like that, but that's what it was. And when I see the car, I take it from him because I said to you, you being disobedient. I told you don't bring this stuff to the church. Now we're gonna leave it in the car. You ain't taking it in the church. He upset because I'll say one thing, his grandmother say something else. One time his mom and his grandmother was upset with me because I was disciplining him to that same extent. You ain't doing that. When I say, I say. And I will even go as far enough to tell you all that one day, I guess when he was about 5, 4 or 5, I want to say 5, we walked out the house and, he's laughing and talking. We got to walk out the house. We're going to the mailbox. I had to cross the street to get to the sidewalk that leads to the mailbox around the corner. Come to the edge of the sidewalk and to the driveway. I say to him, look both ways before you cross the street. Y'all know that lesson, how you teach our kids and grandkids how you cross the street. You look both ways before you cross the street. And he laughing and enjoying our moment. He said, yeah, he looked both ways. Then he broke out and ran across the street. Well, I was good because he did what I said do. We walk around to the mailbox. I'm getting the mail out. And we started back to the house, down the sidewalk. Before we approached the corner, he started running. And I said to him, when you get around the corner, stop at the driveway. Do not cross the street. Do not cross the street without me. Well, he turns the corner, run across the street, and go into the house. When I come, I pull him back out and say, what did I tell you? Didn't I tell you don't cross the street? He said, yeah. I say, why did you cross the street? He humped his shoulder. And I say, that's not what I told you to do. If you had gotten hit by a car, your mother and your grandmother would be upset with me because you were my responsibility. I took my belt off and I tapped his behind probably twice. I didn't hold him up in the air. See, I'm from the old school where you take him and hold him up in the air and beat him. No, I just popped him on his behind twice. And that was enough to hurt his little feelings because he and I didn't have that kind of encounter. He's crying and he go in the house and he's crying uncontrollable. And of course, his mom's upset now, but I said, if he had gotten hit by a car, you really been upset. So I need to establish something here. So I'm going to tell y'all, if your kids are running a mark now, it's because you did not correct them when they were young. And it's difficult to correct them now that they're older, but it's not impossible. You need to sit them down, have a real conversation with them about life, and tell them if they keep being hard-headed, there's a couple of things. The Bible says that a disobedient child shorten their days. Tell them that. Tell them that these people in this world don't care anything about you on a personal level. And it's not about being racist. It's not a black or white thing for real, though. In real life, it's just life. And if you don't conduct yourself in a certain manner, you're going to pay the consequence for your actions. Now, I will tell you that favoritism does happen when it comes to certain communities. But as far as the law is concerned, if you run that light, I don't care what color you are, they're going to pull you over. If you break a law and they're looking at you, most chances they're going to stop you, no matter what part of community you're from. And so you can't holler, it was a black reason why they stopped me. They stopped because you ran the light. They might have saw that you was black, but that ain't why they stop you. They may well hope you do something so they could stop you. But when you ran the light, you gave them the excuse, a law-abiding excuse to stop you. So you just talk to your kids and drill them about conducting themselves a certain way when they're away from home, as well as when they're at home. We know when I was a kid, my parents used to say that kids ought to be seen and not heard. Although I don't subscribe to that necessarily, because how else would you develop the ability to have conversation with people who are higher up than you? How will you develop the conversation, have a dialogue with people who look different from you? So I don't subscribe to that necessarily. I think our kids need to know how to interact with everybody. But I think you need to give them the rules and the understanding of what that looks like. You don't just send your kids out in life without no rules, no regulations, no understanding. It's like giving somebody car keys and they've never driven a car in their life. Don't know anything about the rules of the road, don't know anything about the car operation or nothing. But you can't send people, your kids in life like that. And then when you see the police beat them up, or see somebody kill your child because they were disrespectful or they ran and when they didn't have to run, because you haven't taught them anything but that. I got to get off here. I only have 30 minutes on this air. So I've been here 30 minutes and I'm going to run. Hey, son, I'll see you, man. Glad to see you on here. But I'm just disturbed, man, about our community at large. You know, it don't bother me. I don't have any kids in the streets. I don't have any 18, 19, 20-year-old kids in the streets getting in trouble. That's not my problem. But I'm concerned about the kids nevertheless. And so let's do something about it. Have a talk with those that get in front of you. Don't pass up the opportunity to tell them they can do better in life. They don't have to be a gangster. Don't have to be a pimp, a drug dealer. Don't have to be a prostitute. You can do something productive with your life. All right, remember, this is Inner Circle with Pastor C. See you next Thursday at 5 o'clock. I hope y'all tune in. I put my books on there, so if you want one of my books, God Focus, it's on Amazon. Hope you take a moment to get it. That's my testimony. I think it'll bless your life and somebody else too. See you real soon, right back here in the Inner Circle. Pastor C on Forever Rainbow radio broadcasting station. Bye now. All right, Facebook. And I'm getting off of here, man. I'm glad that y'all came on. Glad that you stay with me as long as you did. And I'm dead serious about what I'm saying. Amen. I think we need to do better with helping our kids